Alright, hi guys. Alright, my name is Marcus, and you're watching American Smoke. I've been meaning to make this video for a while, or thinking about it anyway. And today the video is going to be about the differences between European politics and American politics. Because when you listen to the news or listen to political commentary, you hear about left and versus right. And I think the European political model and the American political model get conflated a lot in commentary. Some of it's used for bait and switch. And I just want everybody aware. And this is, my opinion on how this works. And it has, I'm historically minded, so I think it's based in, actual historical evidence for this. So, when people talk about the left and the right, they're usually talking about the European model of politics. So where that comes from is during the French Revolution, before they deposed the king, they had, obviously they had a monarchy. All European government prior to, 200 years ago was a monarchy. So, how you come up with the left and the right comes from the French Revolution. The elected body, which, if I remember, it was either parliament or they called it but it was basically a parliament. They were trying to decide what to do, and I believe they were disbanded. But anyway, they met at a tennis court, and the ones that wanted to depose the king lined up on the left, and the ones that didn't lined up on the right. So in the European model, the original left was your liberals, and the right, the ones on the right, were for the monarchy. Okay, so that's where we get left versus right today. And if you want to dive a deeper dive into that, a great podcast to go back and listen to would be the Revolutions podcast, and it goes into all of that, and it's a super deep dive into what happened. And you have to go find the part where he's talking about, the French Revolution, which I believe is part 3. And it's kind of a long deal, but if you really want to understand political systems and how they came about, that's a really good podcast to listen to. And if you don't have any, if you're not going to work, it's a great thing. It's a great thing to do, but to listen to, pass time. But anyway, I wrote up some charts. So this is the European model. I don't know if you can see it, but European model. I got the far left and the far right being king with no parliament. And people talk about Hitler being a far right and Stalin being far left. So I put socialists and communists on the left. Hitler's over here on the right because a lot of the old monarchists in Germany was following Hitler because he was basically a monarchist. He just wanted to be the monarchy himself. King with parliament would be left of that. A pure parliamentary system is in the middle somewhere. Your liberals are more on the left. Classic liberals, I should say. Okay, so that's the European model. So, how does the American political system match up on here? Well, it really doesn't, because right equals conservative on these charts. And when you're going from the standpoint of European, the conservative is always trying to conserve what they have. So that's why on the right you have a king with no parliament, because that's what most people had. Most countries had. So when you're trying to conserve something, you're trying to conserve a monarchy. So that's why Hitler ends up over here on this chart. Your Nazis are considered a far-right movement over here. And since socialists and communists don't believe in any kind of king, theoretically, and want, everybody on an equal footing, that's why they're on the far left on the European model, which is where we get this terminology from. So how does that match up with the American system when we started out by deposing a king? It really doesn't make any sense. So in the American model, what was the idea behind the United States? Well, the idea was self-governance. So I made a model for the American, U.S. So if you're trying to conserve self-governance and autonomy from government, what you end up with is, on the far right, you end up with anarchists. If you take that idea to the extreme, you're going to get your anarcho-capitalists that believe that no government at all and everybody can be happy. No taxes, no nothing. To me, it's a pie in the sky kind of thing. And your libertarians, would be a little bit left of that. And then I put, when the United States was founded and after we got our Constitution, we were probably about here on the government scale. And you move a little farther left. On the far left, I have the communists and socialists, Green Party. But, because it requires more government for this. Communism and socialism requires government. So that's why, it requires a lot of government if you look at the USSR. So that's why they're over here on this chart. And of course, you got Republicans over here and Democrats over here. A lot of people would put Republicans over here, but let's face it, they're more socialist than the founding. They lean more towards big government than our founders did on the federal level. So most Americans are in the middle here. And guys, these charts aren't to scale. I didn't sit and measure them out or try to figure that out. This is just to give you an idea of the differences between the two. And I hope this comes out on the recording, doesn't turn out backwards. But you get the idea. It depends on what you're trying to conserve that determines the right limit. In the European model, ultimate conservatism would be to bring back the kings as the sole arbiters. of everything. And on the far left would be, as far away as you can get from, a monarchy. Which theoretically would be your socialists and communists. And on the U.S. system, it's determined by how much government you have. You take self-autonomy to as far right as you can go, you have anarchists. And if you take that to the expression of the least, without having a monarchy, because we've never had one, you end up, at least today, with communists and socialists. Which, I guess, and your liberals are gonna, your liberals are over here, libertarians. On the right. Because it depends on what you're trying to conserve. And in the United States, we're trying to conserve freedom and conserve self-autonomy. So, that's my 2 cents, and, I think it's backed up by, historic, things. So, I hope you guys got something out of that, and I'll talk to you later.